Let's see me how many
Up,
times I
everyone. It is Championship Tuesday. Most people we've had on in a while. The three of us, anyways. But yeah, Mark finally made it back. He was still drinking from the championship, I think, till now.
that
But
championship game was one big social hour with that score.
yeah. But yeah, it's kind of a short show. We only got 4 games this weekend. So to recap, and then a couple USFL things, some transfer portal stuff going down still. And then we'll talk about some NFL coaching news and some big injuries that occurred this weekend, one affecting the upcoming championship weekend. And it is Championship Tuesday, first Tuesday show this semester with my schedule. So yeah, let's get it rolling here. Saturday, first two divisional games here. Chiefs go to their fifth straight AFC Championship game. 27-20 over the Jags. I mentioned this to someone this weekend. This the second time. I mean, Andy Reid's doing exactly what he did in Kansas City. They did in Philadelphia in the early 2000s, going to five straight NFC championship games there. So it's literally just a ridiculous run. Even though he's brought the Chiefs to 2 Super Bowls, he only brought the Eagles to that one. And there's no signs of slowing down, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's been, just an absolute, staple in football now for quite a long time. And it's pretty impressive, man. Just 5 straight.
Yeah.
When I saw that stat, it brought back the memories of watching the Eagles go to the 5 straight, when he was there. And when you think about it, regardless of whether you look at Donovan McNabb as a good quarterback or not, he has those 2 quarterbacks that he's coached, McNabb and Mahomes, are very capable and talented quarterbacks, in my opinion. And that's a direct correlation of his coaching.
Yeah, I do want to say, no offense to my favorite quarterback in Eagles history, who I grew up watching, Jim Johnson. I think his defense was more of a factor in those teams, even though the offenses were pretty good. But I think the 2000s Eagles defenses were just spectacular with the amount of talent that they had. As opposed to the Chiefs, I think their offense is definitely, and that's kind of like another, no, like, disrespect to Steve Spagnuolo, but the offense is clearly the better unit in Kansas City. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence led the game in passing, 24 of 39, 61.5%, 217 yards, 1 touchdown, a pick. 3 carries, 26 yards. Patrick Mahomes went out in the middle of this game with an ankle. 22 of 30, 73.3%, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chad Henne was really good when he came in. Didn't throw for a lot of yards in his 5 completions, but 5 of 7, 71.4%, 23 yards. He did throw a touchdown during his time in the game. Isaiah Pacheco, the rookie, continues to run hard, leading the game in rushing. 12 carries, 95 yards, a 6-yard reception to go with that. And who else? Travis Kelce had a just crazy game. 14 receptions, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns, 17 targets. That's a good amount.
Yeah. Yeah, of all the guys, to let beat you, that was an interesting, interesting choice.
Yeah, I have no clue. And I forget who was saying that on I think it was ESPN that I heard it or somewhere. It's like, bro, like that's the guy. Like he's the key to the Chiefs offense. Shut him down. And you can try to mitigate Isaiah Pacheco in the run game and all the other guys they have in the passing game. Also double-digit targets here. Jags wide receiver Christian Kirk, 7 catches, 52 yards, a touchdown, 14 targets for him. So really poor target to catch ratio there, 50% completion rate. Lawrence and Kirk not on the same page a lot in this one. And defensively, I'm going to go with another rookie there. Chiefs corner Jalen Watson, 4 tackles, all of them solos, 2 pass deflections, 1 QB hit, and what an interception he had off of Trevor Lawrence to seal the game, essentially. One-handed pick was just a crazy play. The Jags covered plus 9.5, under 52. Go Birds. The Eagles, number 1 seed in the NFC, like the Chiefs in the AFC. 38-7, absolutely dominant performance over the Giants. I mean, everything was working. 268 total rushing yards for Philly in this one. The QB run game was there when it had to be. Jalen Hurts was on point for most of the game. No, they didn't make mistakes on offense, and the defense was swarming like it has been all year for Philly.
Yeah, complete game. And, I heard people on the shows and radio the next day saying it was an MJ-like performance for Jalen Hurts. And I'm not going to go that far because MJ's in his own world, but he looked really good. And that was what everybody was saying leading up to this game is the Eagles are going to go as Jalen goes. It's a divisional rivalry. The Giants looked good last week. Like it's going to be close. And the Eagles just from start to finish just put on a clinic.
Yeah. When I look at these two teams, I think that they're on opposite ends of kind of where they're at in terms of talent, in terms of team building. The Giants right now actually kind of remind me of the Eagles where they were at kind of a year ago. They ended up a couple games kind of above 500, got a playoff spot going into the season. They were still deciding, if Jalen Hurts was the guy going into this season. There were still a lot of question marks about Daniel Jones. So I think that the Giants have a lot to be excited about in terms of, they had a lot of success in the first year of a new regime. But it is going to require definitely some moves this offseason, hitting on some guys in the draft, and then bringing in some key free agents.
Yeah, 2 big decisions to make for New York. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, both likely returning, but Jalen Hurts for Philly, 16-24, 66.7%, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 carries, 34 yards, a rushing touchdown. Daniel Jones, 15-27, 55.6%, 135 yards, a pick, 6 carries, 24 yards. His old buddy James Bradbury getting him early in the game there. Eagles running back Kenneth Gainwell led the game in rushing, 12 carries, 112 yards, a touchdown, 1 reception for 9 yards. I believe that was the first 100-yard playoff performance for Philly since LaShawn McCoy did it sometime. I'm not sure. The Giant Killer struck again. Boston Scott, 6 carries, 32 yards, a touchdown. He has a touchdown in every career game against the Giants. He's played the Giants 9 times, has 9 touchdowns. 11 or rushing touchdowns, I believe that is. And then 11 of his 19 career touchdowns, I think, are against the Giants. So Wink Martindale's comments about a Giant Killer were kind of wrong. Eagles wide receiver Devontae Smith led the game in receiving. There weren't a lot of passing yards, so mild night for him. 6 catches, 61 yards, a touchdown on 10 targets. And then Giants leading receiver Richie James also had double-digit targets here, 7 catches for 51 yards, also on 10 targets. Defensively, I'm going to go with the guy that's been the guy on the Eagles defense all year. Eagles linebacker Hassan Reddick, 5 tackles, 4 solos, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, 3 QB hits. Just a beast. Eagles -8 cover easily, under 47.5. I know one of my friends said he was pissed about that. He had the over. The Eagles scored 38 and the under still hit. Sunday. This is where it all went downhill. Bengals 27-10 over the Bills. Rematch with the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game next week in Kansas City. Josh Allen led the game in passing, 25 of 42, 59.5%, 265 yards a pick, 8 carries, 26 yards, a touchdown. Very similar stats to the Eagles game, except a lot more passing yards, which is kind of weird. But Joe Burrow for Cincy, 23 of 36, 63.9%, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 carries, 31 yards. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Bills were banged up a lot, especially on defense. I don't know if Von Miller would have mattered because what I expected was with the Bengals offensive line injuries, I expected the Bills to get pressure, and they didn't at all.
You know, I went off of, hey, they played a couple weeks ago. We know the tragic incident that happened tomorrow was going to be in the stadium. They were at home, so I'm like, I'm going with the Bills. There was just all that added momentum, I thought, in their corner. But when you do look at it at the end of the day, the Bills don't have a great running game. And guess who does? The Bengals. The Bengals also have the best wide receiving core in the NFL. People can argue about that all they want with me. All of that came out, and they played a really good football game. And then they're going to go and play Kansas City Chiefs for the 2nd straight year. And in my opinion, Burrows and Mahomes is shaping up to be a Peyton versus Brady type of matchup in the playoffs if they keep meeting each other.
Yeah. I mean, I think the story in this one is just, you know, me and my dad were watching it, and we just kept saying, you know, kind of one team showed up and one team didn't. You kind of just saw the Bills, and I texted you, Rusty, because I was getting deja vu with all the Packers' tough losses in the playoffs. The Bills just didn't look like they wanted to be there. They didn't look ready. You know, I don't know if it was just the elements or what, but the Bengals kind of dominated on both sides of the ball. And what really impressed me was how you mentioned, Russ, the O-line. They had multiple guys out on what was already kind of an inconsistent O-line throughout the season. So I was expecting to, like you said, for them to get some pressure, but what they really did that was really smart is that they leaned on the run game, and they let those guys get some confidence, just kind of getting out there and trying to steamroll, which helped set up the pass and give them some more confident in pass blocking situations. So yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. I think the Bengals had a really good game plan, and they executed it well.
I think also a stat that I heard or read about is a lot of credit to the DC for the Bengals is the Bills offense is predicated around Josh Allen getting outside the pocket and kind of freelancing and hitting somebody that becomes open. He only got outside of the pocket 4 times and he was 1 for 4. So they really contained Josh Allen inside of the pocket, and it boded well. He didn't have the best day. And as you said, like the team not wanting to be there, you have a spat between Diggs and Allen. That's not always a bad thing because Diggs is competitive, but that frustration boiled over. And I agree. It was just a tell of one team looked excited to be there, and the other team was like, oh, we're the home team. We're going to walk through this and win. And it didn't happen for them.
Well, I think the Bills, like most people, they heard all the stuff about how is a neutral site AFC championship game going to look like? And not going to happen now. But also, yeah, I mean, the Lou Anarumo, which is crazy. I think I agree with I think Louis Riddick said about it on Twitter. He has 0 head coaching interviews right now. Requests.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's ridiculous after 2 straight really good seasons by his defense, especially in the playoffs here. And he went back to the AFC Championship game from last year in a bunch of spots during this game. 3-man rush, drop 8, make the receivers find the spots, and they didn't. And the crazy thing is they were getting pressure with the 3-man rush. Trey Hendrickson a couple times on 3-man rushes came around the edge on Deion Dawkins, which is supposed to be their best player, your left tackle, right? And Trey Hendrickson was getting around the edge and getting pressure on Allen. So, yeah, I mean,
I do want to say this before we move on. Even though the Bills did not win, I still think we're left with the 4 best teams in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think there was an upset in the playoff where you go, oh man, that team snuck by a better team. Like the Bengals are a good team. They were in the Super Bowl last year, and I love their skill positions. I'm in love with the skill position players.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting, though. You look at NFC versus AFC. AFC are the high-flying offenses of the Bengals and Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, the Eagles is also a pretty high-flying offense. But I think with Brock Purdy, a lot of people wouldn't say the Niners are necessarily, high-flying and score a lot of points offense kind of thing. But the Eagles and the Niners both really good on defense. And I mean, I guess the Bengals are, but you say the Bengals are better on offense, right? So, but yeah, Mark mentioned the running game for Cincinnati. Joe Mixon led the game, 100-yard performance by him, 20 carries, 105 yards, a touchdown, 2 catches, 18 yards. Bills tight end Dawson Knox led the game in receiving, 5 catches, 65 yards on 7 targets. And then Stephon Diggs, double-digit targets, but not a good completion percentage there, 40% on the day, 4 catches, 35 yards on 10 targets. And defensively, I'm going to go with a guy that had played valiantly in a loss, Bills linebacker Matt Milano, 10 tackles, 7 solos, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflection, and a QB hit. Saved that. Mark's going through the hills. But yeah, saved that touchdown there from Jamar Chase getting it out before he stayed in bounds. The Bengals +6 They went outright under 48.5. Ridiculous, bro. All the unders hit. Wasn't it all the overs last week?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now all the unders this week. It's ridiculous. Guess that's what you're saying, Mark. The best teams, right? Playing some defense. Niners, number 2 seed. They advanced to the NFC Championship. 19-12 against the Cowboys. Brock Purdy Parade keeps on trucking for another week. 19 of 29, 65.5%, 214 yards. Dak Prescott, after probably his best career game between the playoffs and regular season last week, 23 of 37, 62.2%, 206 yards, 1 touchdown. Got back to the old Dak, 2 picks in this one, 4 carries for 22 yards. And Dak, he really wasn't seeing it. I mean, one of the interceptions was pretty bad. Just kind of throwing it and not seeing that the guy was breaking underneath his receiver. And the other one was a tip ball kind of thing into the receiver, but still, I think that pass was a little behind anyways.
It was painful to watch because what you just said, it just, how do you not see where the defenders are at? One of them is just like, he's right in front of your guy.
Yeah, it's tough because there's so rarely that you're able to put so much at the feet of one guy. But I mean, the Cowboys really did play close to a complete game. When you look at what they were able to do defensively, they were basically able to hold out against the 49ers for 3.5 quarters. Kind of limited them offensively, which is an incredibly tall task, considering, the weapons that they have. And yeah, it was just like you said, Dak wasn't seeing it. And, I don't know if I have to imagine that DeMeco Ryans and the 49ers defense saw something on tape that they were able to disguise coverages in a way that really kind of messed up what the Cowboys wanted to do on offense. But even then, I mean, you look at CeeDee Lamb's stat line, they were still getting some chunk plays, and they had a lot of opportunities to win this game, and it was the turnovers that kind of hurt them in the end.
Yeah, I could have asked for a better start. 6-0 right off the bat.
I picked them. This was the one game where I thought it could be an upset. I think 49ers are a much better team on both sides of the ball, but that Dallas could go in there and do enough to win a game. And Dak, we're talking about Dak having issues, and then you missed that point. And I think just the kicking game loomed over the offense as well. Like, what do we do in situations if it's close enough to kick a field goal, or do we go for 2? Do we go for it on 4th down? I think that changed a lot of the dynamics of the decisions that were being made on the sideline. You still got to make them. You still got to execute your plays. And then I'm a huge believer in Micah Parsons. Dude is legit going to be the best player on that side of the ball in the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, I don't know how much the kicking came in after he missed that extra point. I think, I'm not sure exactly the stats, but I think they only went for that 1 4th down. It was like 4th and 4, and I think they got it.
Well, they went up to kind of draw them off sides.
Oh, right.
At first, I'm just saying. I think it loomed over. I just think it looms over you. I think the whole offense, instead of having a swagger to them because of the way Dak is playing and your kicking game, that it just threw him out of sync.
Yeah, I got you. Surprisingly, Elijah Mitchell led the game in rushing in this one for San Fran. 14 carries, 51 yards. Christian McCaffrey limited in the second half with a calf injury. He did have a decent receiving day there, 6 catches, 22 yards on 8 targets. No running game for Dallas once Tony Pollard got injured. That's a decision I think that Jerry's got to look at in the offseason is Ezekiel Elliott and the salary that he has. You could get a pretty good player for as much money as Zeke's making right now. I'd have to see what the dead cap hit looks for that. But yeah, Logan, you mentioned CeeDee Lamb leading the game in receiving, 10 catches, 117 yards on 13 targets. Tight end Dalton Schultz for Dallas also having double-digit targets here, 5 catches, 27 yards, and a touchdown on 10 targets. Defensively, there wasn't too many stats, but Cowboys defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence is my defensive player of the game. 6 tackles, 4 solos, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 QB hits. Niners covered -3.5, under 46.5 easily. And yeah, like you said, Logan, they held them to 4 field goals. Did the Dallas defense. Just that last touchdown was the backbreaker there that they couldn't get past. And like Mark said, they make that extra point, man. They're going for the win at the end instead of just the tie. NFL news. We're actually going to go USFL news for a couple things here. Ford Field has been announced as the host of one of the 2 northern hubs for the upcoming 2023 season. That will host the Michigan Panthers and the Philadelphia Stars out there in Detroit. So nice destination that they got. And I heard also, obviously I wasn't alive for this, but I did hear also that in the 80s, the Michigan Panthers got quite the crowds out there in Ford Field playing their games when the original USFL was in. Also, the Pittsburgh Maulers, they re-signed wide receiver Bailey Gaither, and he's going to have a new look as the Pittsburgh Maulers have a new look. They rebranded, and they are going with Pittsburgh colors, black and gold, baby. That is what the Pittsburgh Maulers are rebranding to. And what else? You know, how can you not? You're a Pittsburgh team.
Much better. I'm not sure what they were cooking with that other one, but
yeah, the orange and purple was an interesting color scheme, to say the least. But yeah, I'm very excited for Bailey Gaither. On a losing team last year, but pretty productive, over 300 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns in I think 6 or 7 games that he played with Pittsburgh. So I like him for the Maulers. College football news. Mark, it's not getting better for Georgia right now.
It is not. It is not a good look after winning back-to-back championships.
Mississippi State transfer wide receiver Ra Thomas. He has been arrested on false imprisonment and family violence charges. I haven't read anything into it. I don't know if you know more about it, Mark, but
Nah, just the headlines from ESPN. You know, early in the morning on a Monday, it was like 3:30 a.m.
Oh, we lost Mark.
Monday morning. Please, kids, go to bed. Don't be awake at that time of night.
Yeah, for sure. It's
Those charges, you know, are ones that will just get you kicked off without second chance.
yeah, and false imprisonment is a hefty tort. Don't know if that's a felony, but I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, you know, it is a Division I player, so there are the stigma that not much is going to come of it. At least what I would think, anyways. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter that normally happens, right?
With a couple kids transferring out, he was going to be a big part of it. So I could see this not becoming much of a deal. However, I do think Josh Brooks and Coach Smart definitely need to have a sit down with the entire team and lay some ground rules after these few incidents. And all of us on this call know more than other people. You don't win national championships if you don't have, I hate to say it, some questionable people on your roster. They're playing a violent sport.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why I put that Mahler thing under the college football news. I just saw that now. But Senior Bowl roster updates here. I've been monitoring the Senior Bowl Twitter as they've been releasing some player positions there. And I tweeted at Jim Nagy, the director of the Senior Bowl today, asking him if he had any updates on when they would update their website, because the website rosters don't include the wide receivers, defensive backs, or quarterbacks. And the quarterbacks are the only position groups that have not been released. I do know Max Duggan and Hendon Hooker are both playing in that game, but I don't know for which team. I guess I could assume, I guess, from their teammates, which teams they're going to play for, but you never know. So in terms of updates for wide receivers, defensive backs, tight ends, for the American team, guys, I'm watching here. Pretty much all the wide receivers actually on the American team I'm watching, because they were very good players in college. TCU wide receiver Darius Davis, Houston's Tank Dell, Iowa State's Xavier Hutchinson, Princeton's Andre Iosivas. The only reason Princeton, I'm just because I'm watching all the small school guys. And then on FBS. Ole Miss, Jonathan Mingo. We know Ole Miss always produces receivers. So SMU's Rasheed Rice, Virginia's Dontavian Wicks. It was interesting, I thought. They placed him as a wide receiver when Virginia listed him as a tight end. So we'll see what he plays. But he is a guy that can play both. He's freaking massive. He's like 6'6", 240 or something like that. And then South Alabama's Jalen Wayne. Tight ends, I'm watching for the American team. Alabama's Cameron Latu, Miami's Will Mallory, and Oregon State's Luke Musgrave. And then defensive backs, Miami's Tyreek Stevenson, Oregon State's Rajon Wright, Alabama's DeMarco Helms, Florida State's Jimmy Robinson, and Georgia's Christopher Smith II. Any thoughts on any of those guys there?
Oh yeah, that's a pretty good lineup. I know, especially those tight ends, I think are an interesting group. I know there's a lot of love for Musgrave among the draftniks, and he's kind of getting a lot of traction here towards them. Some people think that he might be able to start creeping into the first round conversation. So definitely going to be interested in looking at him. you mentioned Wicks. I think Rasheed Rice is a guy who's also going to be able to showcase a lot and potentially earn a lot of money down there in Mobile that week.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to be the tight end too, right? After Michael Mayer. So got to fight it out. For the national team, wide receivers I'm watching, there weren't as many that I liked on this team. Michigan, Ronnie Bell, Purdue's Charlie Jones, and BYU's Puka Nakua. Charlie Jones is Bill Belichick, right? Short, white slot receiver.
The special teams upside.
Right. Again, Ronnie Bell, though, I was intrigued that he came out. I wasn't sure why, but thought he was gonna head back to Ann Arbor for one more year. Tight ends, though, I do like two on the national team. Since Davis Allen and Purdue's Payne Durham. It was kind of funny. The Senior Bowl, they had a little typo. They put on their picture of the tight end group for the national team, Durham Payne, not Payne Durham. Yeah, it is Payne Durham though. So that was kind of funny. And then defensive backs for the national team: Stanford's Hugh Blue Kelly, Iowa's Riley Moss, Illinois' Sidney Brown, Ohio State's Ronnie Hickman, and Boise State's J.L. Skinner III. So excited for Riley Moss, dude. That kid, he is a beast.
Yeah, that whole secondary group has quite a lot of guys in it that are going to be key to watch that week.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And David Allen also, just to plug the tight ends, he is massive. He has some good size. I believe he's 6'4". Don't know about weight, but I saw him make jump catch after jump catch at Clemson this season. So definitely has that ability in the end zone if you need it. Transfer portals. Got a couple here. Iowa quarterback Alex Padilla. He is heading to SMU. Purdue's running back King Doru. He has entered the portal. Georgia losing another wide receiver, A.D. Mitchell. He is going to Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns. Vanderbilt quarterback Mike Wright. He is going to Mississippi State. So opportunity for Mike Wright there. I don't know who the quarterback is next year for the Bulldogs there in Starkville, with Will Rogers gone. And then a couple of lower level guys there. Eastern Washington wide receiver Freddie Roberson. He's been tearing the Big Sky up the last 3 years. I don't know if he's a grad transfer or a regular, but he is also going to Mississippi State. So big target, kind of replacing Ra Thomas there for Mississippi State. And then Western Kentucky's running back Kai Robichaux. He is headed to Boston College. So nice ad for the Eagles there. And then one coaching carousel thing. This was hard news during the week. Former Ravens safety Ed Reed, originally scheduled to become the Bethune-Cookman head coach, will not be coaching them anymore. Contract talks fell through. Essentially, what happened was Ed Reed his team had everything laid out, what they wanted to do, what the plan was, and the administration said, no, we don't like your whatever, some of the stuff that they wanted. So they didn't ratify the contract, and he's not going to be the head coach. Spent 25 days as the head coach, and it was tough. I don't know if y'all watched the videos, the video of him addressing the team. And then he Deion Sanders also came into his Instagram live.
Yep.
And said some stuff as well, which was pretty powerful. So yeah, it sucks, man. I was looking forward to Ed Reed getting a big FCS coaching spot there.
I was too. Sorry, guys. I went through the mountains. I saw all that. I also wanted to add that from where I used to work in the rumor mill, there might be a Division II quarterback at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah. Well, if they would
Pretty
announce,
sure he's going down there.
if they would announce the quarterback groups for each team, I would announce them on here. But I have not got an update from them yet. So NFL news here. Tom Brady, Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady, he's going to take some time away before making his decision. The belief is that he will not be back in Tampa. Did y'all see what he said on the Jim Gray and Larry Fitzgerald podcast there?
I did not.
I only got to see like the words. I didn't actually get to see like the video or something, but the feeling is that he's exasperated, I guess.
So there wasn't a video that I know of. I just saw the audio. But yeah, Jim Gray, who I have no clue who Jim Gray even is, but Jim Gray was kind of kept asking him about it. Tom's like, look, Jim, if I fucking knew what I was gonna be doing, I would have fucking done it already. That's exactly what he said. It's so funny though. I love Tom when he gets mad. But yeah, I mean, there are going to be so many rumors until he actually makes the decision. And you know, if he does decide, because he's a free agent, right? If he does decide to go anywhere, I was talking with my roommate about it, and I said, there's only one spot he's going to go. And it would make the NFL world, there would be so many things that would have to happen after he decided to do this. San Francisco, the only place I can see him going. He is from California, grew up a 49ers fan. And the butterfly, the ripple effect that would have would just be crazy.
I think there's one more. I think the 49ers is one, but in a similar vein.
Out west.
I think that you could potentially see him in Miami.
Well, what do you go to Miami though with the Stephen Ross tampering stuff that went on?
Didn't he want to go to Miami before?
No, Stephen Ross just wanted him.
Gotcha. I've heard. I don't know why it makes sense. I don't think their defense is good enough, and it's not me thinking he's going to go there, but I know multiple reports have said that Las Vegas would be
another. There actually, you know, just talking about it now, I do have one other landing spot, and it makes sense that Tom's waiting. You know why? Because Sean Payton hasn't been hired yet by anyone. And if Sean Payton gets hired, wherever Sean Payton gets hired, if he goes to a spot where there is an open quarterback position, and I'm talking to you, David Tepper and the Carolina Panthers. Not that I necessarily want Tom Brady in Carolina, but they do have a top 10 quality defense. They have some skill position players. Just need a little bit of push and a quarterback.
Chargers should have fired their coach and hired Sean Payton.
No, Brandon Staley is a good coach.
I'd still take Sean. I'd still take Peyton. Any day.
Yeah. But the Cardinals, they hired their GM last week. They hired their assistant GM this week. Lions director of college scouting, Dave Sears, is headed to the desert there to be Monty's number 2. I do find it intriguing, as did Ian Rappaport. Neither of the 2 in-house candidates were hired as AGM, talking about Adrian Wilson and who was the other one? Was it Quentin? I can't remember the other guy's name. Quentin something. There are 2 former players that are high-ranking executives in the Cardinals organization that were pretty good. I know Adrian Wilson has been with the Cardinals front office pretty much since he retired, and he's done a fantastic job in his roles that he's had there. So it was kind of weird that neither of them got hired, but I guess, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's kind of hard to hire an in-house guy unless you have a relationship existing with that person. And you kind of want to get your own person in as your right-hand man. So kind of makes sense in that regard. 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo coming back in the news. He has an outside chance apparently to play this weekend, but he would have a better shot, Coach Kyle Shanahan said, at playing in the Super Bowl if they were to advance there, which they won't. So it's okay. Don't worry about playing again this year, Jimmy. It's fine. How about the Packers, Logan? Adam Schefter reporting on ESPN this week that a trade of quarterback Aaron Rodgers this offseason is a very real scenario. And I didn't check the numbers on that yet. I would assume that there is a massive cap hit, though, for Green Bay.
Well, yes, there's a big cap hit. You have to imagine that, part of the deal is going to be team taking on some of that, or it being restructured in some kind of way. There's so many moving parts to this, and it's why, even though there's still so much to talk about in the season, it's like one of the big talking points in the entire NFL, not just in Wisco. I feel as if, with the way that they've put themselves, they meaning the Packers, it's just probably time to move on. You need to see what you have in Jordan Love. That's the position you've put yourself in. This roster is not good enough to run it back. And that's likely not going to change, barring some kind of, crazy offseason moves. Now, Rodgers did just mention on Pat McAfee's show that it sounds like he'd be open to restructuring his deal. So if he came back, that $60 million cap hit would be potentially less. But the Packers are still in cap hell. Like, they wouldn't be able to go out and make these, grand trades for a key weapon or anything like that. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's a lot to unpack, but yeah, it feels like there's more stuff, though, kind of being leaked, because it started with, 50-50 anybody's guess. And then yesterday it was the Packers are open to receiving offers. And then today it was the Packers would like to trade him to the AFC. If that were to happen. So there's some stuff progressing. So yeah, we'll see.
So what I'm seeing on Spot Track right now, his cap hit is 31.6 and change. Now, they there is an option bonus that is guaranteed if it is exercised from March 17th through week 1, which I would assume that's Aaron Rodgers' option, not the team's.
Yeah.
So it's 58.3 million. And the, I think, more crazy part, $99.7 million dead cap hit. Holy hell. That is crazy. So that's the thing though. I don't know. You'd have to restructure because there's no way of getting out of that dead cap hit, even if it's a trade. So yeah. And the Jordan Love thing, that's kind of funny as well, because they gotta kind of make a decision. Because he's in last year of his deal this year. So luckily for them, they have the 5th-year option. Or they declined it, right?
I don't think they've made a decision yet on that. I think they still have time to exercise it or not.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, if they do that, I think that you kind of got it at this point. But yeah, another just story to watch. So we have the Super Bowl officiating staff announced this week. The referee is going to be Carl Sheffers. Referee, this is going to be his 3rd Super Bowl. Refed Super Bowl 55 just 2 years ago, and Super Bowl 51 as well. And it's really a very experienced crew when you look at the graphic anyways, with the number of Super Bowls that they've refed combined, 10 between all of them. The umpire is going to be Roy Ellison. He officiated Super Bowl 52 and Super Bowl 43. One of the 3 rookies on this crew is going to be down judge Gerard Phillips, line judge Jeff Bergman, also reffing 2 previous Super Bowls, Super Bowl 53 and Super Bowl 31. So pretty big gap between his 2 Super Bowls. But he's getting another chance, luckily, relatively recent to his last one this time around. Second rookie in terms of Super Bowls anyways in this crew is field judge John Jenkins, and the side judge is Eugene Hall. He reffed Super Bowl 55 and 53. Back judge is Dino Paganelli, officiated Super Bowl 55 and Super Bowl 47. And then the replay official is Mark Butterworth, also a Super Bowl rookie. So yeah, like I said, I think it's going to be pretty good officiating there with 10 total Super Bowls between all those guys.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to have to hop off. I'll catch y'all later.
All right, man.
See
ya. Coaching carousel, NFL here. We got a bunch of interviews still going on. No dominoes have fallen yet in the coaching carousel, except for the first one. Today, the Patriots filling their offensive coordinator spot with a familiar face. Alabama offensive coordinator / quarterback coach Bill O'Brien heading back to New England, where he was an assistant under Bill Belichick for about 4 years, I believe, before he got the head coaching job with the Houston Texans. Pretty good move by Billy B. I think
It's going to be much better than it was this season. I'll tell you that.
Well, he coached Mac Jones, I believe, in his
Yeah.
only year as a starter there in Alabama. So yeah. I think
Well, no, Sarkisian was the OC at the time. And I think Bill was still with the Texans.
I heard that he did coach Mac.
Or was he like a quality control offensive guy or something?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was with Alabama when Mac was
Gotcha.
in some capacity, if he was no C. In terms of the Colts, one new name to add to their head coaching search: Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale. Cardinals, they keep adding people, but they are kind of winding down their search, just like the Texans. But they are interviewing Steelers senior defensive assistant / linebackers coach Brian Flores, and they have now entered the fold for former Saints head coach Sean Payton, supposedly going to interview him this week. Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, he is getting a second interview in Arizona. So like I said, the Texans also starting to wrap their searches up. They are giving second interviews to Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka and Broncos defensive coordinator Ajiro Aviro. I never know if I'm saying his name right. So hopefully I hear it on TV sometime. And I hear it the right way. If I'm saying it the right way or not, I don't know. Coordinator searches here, a lot of them going on there. It's been crazy this offseason how many coordinator positions are open. But the Vikings, they're looking at Steelers senior defensive assistant / linebackers coach Brian Flores, Saints co-defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen, and Seahawks defensive assistant / associate head coach Sean Desai, former Bears defensive coordinator under former head coach Matt Nagy. Ravens offensive coordinator, two new names there. Seahawks quarterbacks coach Dave Canales, great year with Geno Smith in Seattle. And then Browns wide receivers coach / passing game coordinator Chad O'Shea. Dolphins defensive coordinator, they are also looking at Seahawks defensive assistant / associate head coach Sean Desai. And internally, they're looking at their linebackers coach Anthony Campanile. Jets offensive coordinator, they requested an interview with Bills quarterback coach Joe Brady. Titans offensive coordinator, they have an interview internally with tight end coach Luke Steckel. Some people are saying he could be the next Ben Johnson. Because he's a Princeton grad, I guess. So who knows? The Commanders offensive coordinator search, they added Dolphins running backs coach Eric Studesville to the equation there. Chargers offensive coordinator, they're looking in the same building there. Two Rams guys. Rams senior offensive assistant Greg Olson and Rams quarterback coach / passing game coordinator Zach Robinson, both supposedly getting interviews across the building there. And then two more here. Bucks offensive coordinator search. They today put in a request for Jaguars pass game coordinator Jim Bob Cooter, former offensive coordinator in Detroit for Matthew Stafford. And then the Falcons defensive coordinator, they are also, just like the Vikings, interviewing Saints co-defensive coordinator / defensive line coach Ryan Nielsen. So yeah, I'm just waiting for these coaches to drop, man. Need to see all the pieces fit in place.
Yep, there's a musical coaching chairs.
Injuries. So the big one everyone's talking about, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, high ankle sprain in his right ankle, had the same injury last year, with his left ankle, or it wasn't last year, it was 2019, right? Or something. I don't know.
Yeah, during the Browns game.
Yeah. But Mahomes apparently has been saying it's not as significant as that his left one that year. But I think we'll talk about this more on Friday's show. I feel like it's gotta limit him and his mobility coming up in this game.
Yeah, mobility. You got to pivot, cut on it. There's a lot of things though that go into a sports performance, making things heal faster, numbing it so you don't feel anything during the game. So I do believe it'll be in the back of his mind, but that guy is so talented. We all know him at 70% is better than most of the quarterbacks at 100% in the NFL.
Yeah, I will say though, I think that Andy Reid has 110% confidence in Chad Henne. If Mahomes goes out there and he's just it's not working. I don't think Andy Reid has any doubt that he would pull Mahomes. Because like he said in his post game, he's not gonna play a guy just to win a game, right? He's a coach that actually cares and wants to see his players healthy in the long term. So I don't think Andy Reid does have any reservations about pulling Patrick Mahomes and putting Chad Henne in and knowing that they can still win the game with Chad Henne.
He's shown it as a backup. He just came in, and what do you want him to do? Take care of the ball when you're in the red zone, score, and he has proved that he can come in and do that. And to your point, besides being a player's coach, who he believes, like you're talking about, in his backup quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see what Lou Anarumo does defensively with Cincinnati to get Mahomes to move. I think that'll be a lot of the discussion leading up to Sunday's game. Cowboys out of the playoffs now and did not get good news on their running back, Tony Pollard. I kind of called this whenever I saw the replay because of how much his ankle turned. Ends up after the x-rays, found out he suffered a fractured left fibula, going to require surgery. That's about 3-month recovery, so he should be good to go by training camp. And probably OTAs, he might be able to do some stuff there in June. Bills defensive tackle Jordan Phillips also getting some surgery here. He was playing with a torn rotator cuff, so he's going to get surgery on that, be ready for training camp. And then just one transaction, the Ravens, they claimed corner Trayvon Mullen off of waivers from the Cowboys. That man's been going all around. Been on a couple different squads this year, just cannot latch on after being a first-round pick of the Mike Mayock era, or second-round pick, I guess. Yeah, second-round pick with the Raiders a couple years ago. NFL pick standings, and Mark, you had a good effort, buddy, but you came up short by one game. I said last week that I had already clinched with only one game left on our Monday, Tuesday shows to pick, and you did get me. You picked the right team. You and Logan picking the Cowboys there. That's supposed to be 1-0 for him. Not 0-1. But you and Logan were correct. Peter and I were wrong. We picked the Buccaneers in that Monday night wild card game. So Yeah, I finished one game up. Pretty solid records, especially for you and I at the top. You finished 3 games above Logan.
So
There.
you're saying when I pick my own games, I do pretty well.
But I won you the Friday championship though. So
I'm teasing. I'm teasing you.
and then Logan did well enough though, since this was the ultimate game here. He got the nod and bragging rights over Peter. Peter finishes his first season in the Monday picks in the basement. 5 games back of the lead. So next Tuesday, we'll be back talking Pro Bowl. We'll be talking championship weekend also. We'll be recapping the 2 games this weekend. Have probably a little bit of a mini preview to the Super Bowl that'll be 2 weeks away from next week. And yeah, we'll talk Pro Bowl games, which I absolutely hate, but I guess we're gonna talk about it anyways. And yeah, we'll talk about the rosters and if they announce lineups for certain contests during the games, we'll talk about that as well. And also all the NCAA, NFL news, USFL, XFL, etc. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. FAA_bets is our betting account on Twitter, and FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Thank you for being back on, Mark and Logan, and we'll see you all back on Friday from Indy.
From in.